You felt it before you even saw it. You walked into the room. Maybe it was work, maybe it was just a group of people you've known forever, and your body registered the shift before your mind could even put words to it. That little drop in your stomach, the way the air feels just slightly heavier. You look around and everyone is exactly where they always are, doing what they always do, but the rhythm is off. It's like you walked into a movie that's already been playing for 20 minutes and they all know the plot. And you're just standing there trying to figure out why everyone is acting so strange. And then you catch it. A glance. Someone looks at you, and the second your eyes meet theirs, they look away. Fast. Too fast. Like you caught them with their hand in the cookie jar. And maybe your brain tries to be nice about it at first. You think, oh, I'm just being paranoid, or I'm just tired, I'm reading into things. But then it happens again, and you realize, no, this isn't just a weird vibe you're imagining. Something has shifted. They are watching you. They are whispering. They are huddling together like they are trying to solve a puzzle. And the puzzle is literally just you standing there, minding your own business. And the craziest part, the part that you might not have let yourself fully laugh about yet. They're not just watching. They are nervous, like genuinely, visibly, markedly nervous around you. And if you're confused about why the energy is so weird all of a sudden, let me break down exactly what happened. Because this is actually kind of funny when you see it from what it is. Someone, and you probably know exactly who it is. Their face is probably popping into your head right now. Thought they had you completely figured out. They had a whole file on you. They had a story they told themselves about who you are, what your limits are, how you react, what you're capable of course. They were so confident. It was almost condescending the way they were so sure. They looked at you and they saw the version of you that was convenient for them. Maybe they saw you as weak because you were kind. Maybe they saw you as naive because you gave people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they saw you as overly sensitive or dramatic or too soft for the world. They created this character. And the thing is, you probably let them. Not because it was true, no, but because you didn't feel the need to perform your strength for them. You knew who you were, and you didn't owe them a resume of your power. So they sat in their little belief, comfortable, smug, absolutely certain that they had the upper hand. And then something happened. Maybe they pushed on you, maybe they said something a little too slick, or they tried to drag you into a mess, or they attempted to test your boundaries, waiting for you to snap or to cry or fall apart the way they expected you to. And you didn't. You just stood there, solid. You didn't wobble. You didn't rage. You just looked at them maybe said one very calm sentence and moved on with your day like they didn't even exist. And that was the moment the rug got pulled out from under there entirely. Because they realized, no, I read this completely wrong. This person is not what I thought they were. And ever since that moment, they have not known how to act. They can't look at you. They can't look at you in the eyes because they know your gaze sees right through their lies. They tell themselves. That's not a metaphor. You genuinely make them feel bare, naked, exposed. You have to understand most people go through life wearing a costume. They have this curated version of themselves they present to the world. And their whole social survival depends on everyone agreeing that the costume is the real thing. They need you to buy the performance. And for a long time, maybe you did. Or maybe you were just polite enough to pretend you did. But at some point, you stopped pretending. You just started saying, you're the type who watches before you move, the type who notices when the tone doesn't match the words, the type who sees the intention beneath the action. And honestly, I don't think you realize how powerful that is yet. Most people are so busy performing that they don't actually see anything. But you see everything. And you're not confrontational about it. You're not calling people out dramatically. You just know. And there is a quiet energy that radiates off a person who knows. It's unsettling if you have something to hide. If you have been walking around with a mask on, the person who sees the seams of that mask is terrifying. For the longest time, they thought they were smart enough to hide it. But now, you've shown them, probably without saying a word, that you have seen behind the curtain this whole time. That's why they are acting weird. That's why they cannot hold a conversation with you anymore. They are scrambling mentally, checking every interaction they ever had with you, trying to figure out how much you know. And here is what's driving them absolutely crazy. You're not even using it against them. You're just living, you're just breathing, you're just existing peacefully. And somehow that makes it a million times worse for them. Because if you were attacking them, they could play the victim. Yeah, manipulation. They could play the victim, but and your silence isn't just an exit. It's a mirror that forces them to see their own shadows. Every time you don't react, they have to sit in their own mess without the distraction of your drama. And that silence is heavy. It is so loud for them. Let's get really specific about what's happening in their head right now. Because if you are still healing, you might be tempted to think they are just moving on unaffected. They are not. They are in a loop. They are replaying the moment where the mask slipped, not your mask, theirs. And they are haunted by this realization that you are actually doing better. Have you noticed it? The way they check on you without checking on you. Maybe they have resorted to watching your social media from a distance. Maybe they are asking mutual friends how you're doing, but they are phrasing it like it's casual. Like, hey, haven't seen them around much. Everything's good. They are fishing for something. They are checking to see if the shrapnel is still in your skin. They are looking for a limp. They want to see a sign that their actions had a lasting effect, that you are still bleeding. And I want you to feel the validation of this deep in your chest right now. The fact that they are looking so hard means they can't see a wound anymore. You've healed, and they are watching you from the shadows, haunted by the fact that you are doing better without them. It's so shocking to them. It's confusing to their nervous system. They expected you to crumble. They built their whole ego on the idea that they were somehow essential to you. And now here you are, standing taller than you did before, breathing deeper, laughing louder, looking honestly, insanely radiant, and it's breaking their brain. You know, it's almost, I'm feeling this as I'm saying it. It's almost like there was a narrative written about you, a narrative that said you were the problem, or that you were too much, or too little, or too complicated. Maybe this narrative was whispered in group chats, in passive-aggressive comments, in those little concerned conversations people have when they want to tear you down while holding a hello. And you had to walk through the world with that narrative pinned to your back. That's a specific kind of pain. To know you are a good person, to know your heart is pure, but to feel people treating you like a villain because someone was with a louder voice told them to. For a while, maybe you let it define you. Maybe you try to defend yourself. Maybe you try to over-explain your soul to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. This is an exhausting war. But here is the powerful shift you made. Yeah, probably without even realizing it was a shift. You stopped fighting the narrative and you just started living the truth. The truth so loudly that the narrative couldn't survive anymore. You didn't hold a press conference to clear your name. You just kept being kind. You kept showing up. You kept healing. And slowly, the story started to crack. The mask is finally off. And while you look more beautiful than ever, they can't stand to look at their own reflection. Because right now, the gap between who you actually are and who they told everyone you were is so wide that it's become a canyon. And they are standing on the edge of it, looking down, terrified. People are seeing the truth, not because you screamed it, but because the fruit of your life is just too obvious to ignore. You are not bitter. You are not vengeful. You are not even trying to ruin them back. You are just free. And your freedom is their indictment. Yeah, indictment. There is a specific trigger for this reaction, I think. And I want you to sit with this one because it might still a little even even though it's good. The very thing they judged you for is now the thing they are most desperate to have back. Stop and let that sink into your bones. What was the trait they mocked? Was it your softness, your sensitivity, your willingness to forgive? Was it your optimism? They probably called you naive. They probably called you weak. They equated your gentleness with being a doormat. And you listened to that criticism. Maybe you even tried to harden yourself. Maybe you tried to be colder, more guarded, less trusting, because they made you feel like your open heart was a liability. But that open heart, that kindness, that's actually the rarest kind of strength. It makes incredible power to stay soft in a world that wants to make you hard. It takes power to see the light in people even after they have shown you their dark. And now that they have lost your softness, now that they are met with your indifference instead of your warmth, they are freezing, they are starving for it. The warmth they took for granted, that support that they leaned on, that light you brought into their lives is just gone now. You redirected it toward people who actually deserve it, toward yourself first. And they are sitting in the cold, holding their critical little list of your flaws, realizing that list was actually a list of your superpowers. They finally realized that your kindness wasn't a weakness. It was the most powerful thing about you. Most powerful thing about you that made you magnetic. It was the thing that healed them when they were with you. And now they don't have it. You are giving it to someone else, or something else, or just peacefully keeping it for your own soul. And that emptiness they feel, that's the cost of their arrogance. This is where it gets really deep. And I'm trying to find the words for it because it's such a visceral image in my mind. I keep seeing weights like physical, heavy stones on your shoulders. In the past, you were carrying so much of the relationship. You were carrying their emotional immaturity, their unhealed trauma, their constant need for validation. You were an atlas holding up their world, and they were standing on the top of it, yelling at you for not standing up straight. And they thought that if they walked away, you'd collapse under the weight of it. They thought the reflection would destroy you. But something else happened. When they left, or when you had to finally set the boundary, the craziest thing happened. The weight just slid off. At first, maybe it felt like death. Maybe the silence felt oppressive. But then, slowly, your muscles relaxed. Your lungs filled up all the way. You started waking up in the morning without a knot in your stomach. You realized the weight wasn't your life. It was their dependency. It was their projection. And now you feel light. And they can see it. It's the way you move. It's in your eyes. It's in your smile. There is a realness to you now, an unbothered glow. You've made a home in yourself, and they are homeless in that regard. And seeing your light, as is actually pissing them off, but in the most terrifying them. Because it proves their theory wrong. They told you that you couldn't survive without them. They said it directly in an argument, or they implied it through their control. And look at you now. You aren't just surviving, you are thriving in high definition. And they have to face the horrible truth that they were the weight. They were the weight. They were the storm. You were not the problem. And realizing you are the blessing, they treated like a burden. And now the weight of that mistake is crushing them. That's the heavy load for them to carry. That's the new weight. And they don't have shoulders strong enough for it. That's why they can't look at you. Because your very presence is proof of their biggest failure. So what do you do with this? What do you do when you feel their gaze burning into the side of your face? What do you do when they try to slide back in with a vague text or a fake compliment because the guilt is eating them alive? I want you to recognize this moment for what it is. This is not a moment for you to crash out. You don't need to strut around and try to make them feel worse. Honestly, just existing as your healed self is already doing the maximum damage possible. Trust me. The greatest weapon you have right now is your unbothered, genuine peace. Keep it. Guard it. Don't let their sudden interest in your aura pull you back into their orbit. Because here is a cold splash of reality. Their nervousness, their acting weird, their I can't even look you in the eyes energy. That's not a sign of change. It's a sign of recognition. They have seen the truth, but that doesn't mean they have been transformed by it. They are just scared now. They are scared of the power shift. Don't confuse their discomfort for a redemption arc. Keep your energy high and your circle small. You are watching the natural consequence of disrespect unfold, and you are not obligated to interrupt that process just because they are uncomfortable. You have graduated from the class of people who beg to be understood. You don't need a single apology from them to close the door. The chapter is closed because you decided it was. The story they told is over. You are writing a new one now, and they don't get a cameo. There is a distinct loneliness that hits right before this breakthrough, and I want to validate that too, because maybe you are still in the quiet hallway between the prison and the promised land. Maybe the people around you haven't acknowledged your growth yet. Maybe they are still siding with the old narrative, and that kind of isolation can make you feel like you're invisible, or worse, that you're wrong. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm doing better, but nobody seems to see it, I need you to know they do see it. That's the whole point. They are just not saying it out loud, because saying it out loud would force them to confront their own complacency. They'd have to admit they were wrong about you. They'd have to admit they were complicit in their lie. So they stay silent, they stay weird, they stay distant, let them. You're not asking for a standing ovation from the cheap seats anymore. You are just walking toward your destiny. And the people who are meant, I swear, the people who are meant to walk with you will eventually match your pace. And the ones who are frozen in their own guilt, they can just watch you disappear into a horizon they were never brave enough to explore. The view from where you are now is too beautiful to keep looking over your shoulder. Keep your eyes forward. Let them choke on the dust of your peace. It's not your job to make them feel bad about the way they treated you. It's your job to keep that fire in your spirit burning so bright that it warms everyone who chooses to get close, and it exposes everyone trying to hide it in the shadows. You're not the darkness they accused you of being. You are the light they couldn't extinguish. And if the light hurts their eyes, they can close them. Or they can turn and face their own reflection. Either way, you just keep shining brightly, unapologetically. You. Love you.